bring in John Heilemann and NBC senior political analyst Mark Halperin. They're the co-creators and co-hosts of the Circus on Showtime. Guys, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome to our circus. Let's talk about this budget. Let's talk about Mike Mulvaney, the budget director, standing up before reporters yesterday and basically saying, if you were watching the campaign, none of this should come as a surprise. This is what then candidate Donald Trump promised. So why is there surprise?
Well, I think everything that Trump does seems to surprise people, although, as Mulvaney said yesterday, it's because so much is so unprecedented, so new, and sort of shocking, but he is doing things that are largely consistent with what he said he was going to do.
When you look at the cuts, things like 31% at the EPA and 29% at state and 21% at the Department of Agriculture, is this Donald Trump the businessman and the negotiator? Is this an opening bid? It's
an opening bid, and it's not going to pass, and it's a strange political risk to take on one level because it isn't going to happen. The headlines about the percentages, the specific programs, there's going to be a lot of pushback, not just from Democrats, but from Republicans. But this is what a lot of business people think about Washington, right? Programs are too big. There's too much waste. Set down a tough budget number and let the departments figure out how can we make up the difference.
Let's talk about this wiretapping claim. We've got the report now. Congress was asked by the president to investigate whether or not President Obama wiretapped him, surveilled him, and they've come back and with a rather definitive statement saying there's no evidence of that. And yet the White House has doubled down. John, do you think that there is a genuine belief on the part of the president and the White House staff that he truly was surveilled, or do they just have no exit strategy and now they don't know how to get out of this?
I think that's one of those things that we call a false binary in the world of logic. I think it could be a little bit of both, in the sense that I think there's a genuine belief that some kind of surveillance, that some people that Trump worked for, people who worked for Trump, associated with the campaign, somehow got caught up in the net of surveillance. At the same time, I think a lot of the people who work for the president can't quite figure out how to get out of the alley that he's kind of led them into by making these claims that are in the specific detail seem to not be true.
Well, let me ask you if out in the heartland and away from New York and Washington, whether you think it's a serious accusation, but do people care about this, especially on a day when they're learning more about pocketbook issues like the budget?
I don't think people outside care as much about it, but obviously presidential words matter. This is one that divides people quite a bit, right? A lot of people who voted for the president say, I don't like when he says stuff like that, but that's not what this presidency is about. If you don't like Donald Trump, this is, even in the sort of annals of strange things the president's done, controversial things, this one stands out because of the starkness of what he said and the fact that he's being repudiated by Republicans.
This is one of these cases where the country really is. In so many ways, Trump has split the country in two, and this is one where I think there are a lot of Democrats who care about this a lot, and a lot of Trump voters who don't care about it at all.
You guys have a new season of The Circus. This is kind of a political documentary coming up. I'm not going to ask you, John, because I don't want to have another false binary go on here, but what can we expect? You were on Air Force One the other day, Mark. What was it like?
We're coming back. The show started about the campaign. Now we're covering Donald Trump's America. People are still so engaged, whether they like him or not, and what's going on. So this week, we're looking at the challenge the president has. He traveled on Wednesday to Michigan, to Tennessee, to try to sell health care and the rest of his agenda, but so much has come up this week. There you see me at the Congressional Budget Office, and those numbers were obviously a big deal. But so is the president trying to balance Russia, the Supreme Court hearings that start next week. So much going on. He's got to get his legislative agendas through, and that's what we look at is the juggling act. It's part of the circus that the president and his team are engaged in to try to get things passed through.
Two ringmasters with us this morning, guys. Always good to see you. By the way, the new season of The Circus premieres Sunday night on Showtime.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.